Hear me now? Can you hear me now? You can hear me now. Okay, good. I'm sorry for the audio problem. I had no idea that was going to do that. I want to come on the air right now. Just over 3.5 hours ago, we had a major, at least 7.5 magnitude earthquake hit Japan, on the western side of Japan. This same area that was hit today was on the western side, and it has been hit before. Look here. This same area was hit just weeks ago by a 5.0 and a 5.5 earthquake. Today it was hit by at least a 7.5 magnitude earthquake. Now, folks, this is bad. This is really, really bad. There has been a tsunami warning issued. Okay? I'm showing you this because the National Tsunami Center issued this as a 7.4 earthquake. Okay? Gives all the coordinates, the location everywhere, the west coast of Honshu, Japan. An earthquake with a preliminary magnitude of a 7.4 has hit western Japan, the west coast of Japan, this morning. Now, folks, this is not good. I'm just telling you, this is not good. Based on the preliminary earthquake parameters, hazardous tsunami waves are possible for coasts located within 300 kilometers of the earthquake epicenter. The tsunami threat forecast. Hazardous tsunami waves from this earthquake are possible within 300 kilometers of the epicenter along the coast of Japan. Government agencies responsible for threatened coastal areas should take action to inform and instruct any coastal populations at risk in accordance with their own evaluation procedures and the level of threat. Persons located in the threatened coastal areas should take alert for information and follow instructions from national and local authorities. The estimated times of arrival. Now, folks, this is the first threat that was issued within 30 minutes after the earthquake. Estimated times of arrival of the initial tsunami wave for places with a potential tsunami threat. I need to say right now, as soon as that earthquake hit, areas within 10 minutes of that earthquake would be hit with a preliminary tsunami wave. Niigata, Japan. That area I just showed you is Niigata, Japan. Potential impacts. A tsunami is a series of waves. The time between wave crests can vary from 5 minutes to an hour. The hazard may persist for many hours or longer after the initial wave. Impacts can vary significantly from one section of coast to the next due to local bathymetry and the shape and the elevation of the shoreline. Impacts can also vary depending upon the state of the tide at the time of the maximum tsunami waves. The state of the tide, it could be low tide or high tide, and at this point we do not know whether it was high tide or low tide there on the west side of Japan. This is in the Sea of Japan. Persons caught in the water of a tsunami wave may drown, crushed by debris in the water, or be swept out to sea. Again, this is a preliminary tsunami threat. Up until just about 40 minutes ago, we only had 3 tsunami threat warnings. They do not vary from one warning to the other. The warnings still are applicable. The warnings are very important and they're very applicable. There is a tsunami warning out there that says that one tsunami wave could be 12 inches high or 3 meters high. That's a lot of water. That is very much a lot of water. NCWQ Explorer Rebecca's here saying, I'm hearing the epicenter is up to 3-foot waves. That would not surprise me. 3-foot waves. Okay? Now, I want to show you this earthquake. Okay? These are helioplots. These are helioplots that I'm showing. This helioplot comes from Incheon, Korea, across the Sea of Japan at Incheon, Korea. Look at this. Okay? The highest lines here, the highest vertical lines, are primary waves of the earthquake. I want to emphasize that. The highest vertical lines on the helioplot are primary waves of the earthquake. This is initial. This is a preliminary helioplot. Now I want to show you other helioplots as well. Okay, like I said, this is across the Sea of Japan in Korea. I'm going to take you now over to Bermuda. Okay, we need to look at one of the closest helioplots, and then we need to look at further away. The next one is from Bermuda. Okay, again, look at the highest vertical lines here. Those are the primary waves of this earthquake. NCWQ Explorer says Russia and Korea are both under tsunami warnings at this time, and she's right. Okay, this is Barbados. Okay, let's go look at the Aleutian Islands. Okay, this is far up into Alaska. This is Adak, Alaska. This is over in the Aleutian Islands. Again, the primary waves are very high here. This is the initial assessment from this earthquake. Now let's look at Hockley, Texas. Okay, now we're over in the center part, south central part of Texas. Hockley, Texas, guys. Look what we're seeing here. The same thing. Multiple primary waves. This is just not one earthquake. This is multiple quakes. The ground shook. The ground in Japan shook. I want to go a little further away. Okay? Let's go over to Finland. This is Kivo, Finland. The same thing applies here. Look at those primary waves here. Multiple earthquake waves. This was not just one quake. The earth shook for multiple minutes. And I'm going to say the earth shook for probably 30 minutes or longer, and I believe it's still shaking. Okay? That's Kivo, Finland. Let's look at Spitsbergen, Norway. I want to show you Spitsbergen, Norway. Look. These two places I'm showing you now are on the other side of the world. If it's showing this kind of activity on the other side of the world, this earthquake was bad. Okay? Preliminary earthquake parameters were a 7.8 earthquake. As you saw over at the Tsunami Center, they downgraded it to a 7.4. Okay? I believe it was at least an 8.5. Judging by the preliminary information that we have, the preliminary data, I believe this was at least a 7.5 magnitude earthquake. I'm not saying 7.5, 8.5 magnitude earthquake. An 8.5 magnitude earthquake. Now, I want to show you damage. Okay? This is just one photo that we have. Just one. Folks, I'm telling you, there's a lot more to this earthquake than what they're even showing right here. Japan has issued tsunami warnings for the West Coast after the 7.6 that Japan said it was. Japan is saying it was a 7.6. Okay? The agency warnings apply to Ishikawa, Niigata, Toyama prefectures. Japan has issued tsunami warnings for 3 of its central west coast prefectures after a series of earthquakes in the Sea of Japan, one with a magnitude 7.6. Tsunami warning of 1.2 meters was confirmed to have arrived at Wajima City in Ishikawa Prefecture. The Japanese public broadcaster NHK has warned torrents of water could reach as high as 5 meters. The Japan Meteorological Agency has issued tsunami warnings for the prefectures of Ishikawa, Niigata, and Toyama. 11 significant tremors. Again, 11 significant tremors here. Struck between 4:06 p.m. and 4:48 p.m. January 1st, today, in Japan. The strongest ones were magnitude 7.6 and 7 on the Japanese seismic scale. The first was recorded at 4:10 p.m. off the Noto buildings that shook 190 miles away from Tokyo. NHK issued warnings urging people to evacuate quickly to higher ground and beware of aftershocks and further tsunamis. A government spokesman, Hayashi Yoshimasa, said in an emergency press conference that authorities were still checking the extent of damage and warned residents to prepare for a possible further quake. Footage has been aired on NHK TV appear to show buildings collapsing in Ishikawa. More than 36,000 households lost power in Ishikawa and Toyama prefectures. Carolyn Martin's in the chat says 35,000 people without power. This report that I'm giving you says 36,000 people lost power. That's according to the utility provider Hokuriku Electric Power. H-O-K-U-R-I-K-A. Let me start over. H-O-K-U-R-I-K-U Electric Power. Hokuriku Electric Power, I believe it's pronounced. Earthquakes that strike off the Sea of Japan coast are known to cause tsunami waves which can reach shore in less than 10 minutes, faster than those on the Pacific coast side. The magnitude 9 earthquake of 2011 triggered a tsunami that took 30 minutes before it hit the coastline. That's because it was on the Pacific coast. Japan's Nuclear Regulatory Agency said that no irregularities have been reported at nuclear power plants along the Sea of Japan, including 5 active reactors at Kansai Electric Power's Ohi and Takayama plants in Fuki Prefecture. Hokuriku's Shika plant in Ishikawa was the closest to the quake's location. They had already halted its 2 reactors before the quake for regular inspection and experienced no impact from the quake, according to the agency. Japan, I need to say this. For some people that have not followed this channel, I've been reporting on earthquakes for over 4.5 years. This is a big deal. We've reported on earthquakes in Japan for many, many years. Japan is a quake-prone nation. A huge earthquake and tsunami that struck the northeastern Japan on March 11, 2011, killed 18,000 people. The disaster devastated towns. It triggered nuclear meltdowns at Fukushima. All of us are aware of this, or should be aware of this. Nearly all of Japan's nuclear power plants have been mothballed since the disaster. All or nearly all of Japan's nuclear power plants have been mothballed since the disaster. Okay? There's also been fires. Okay? This is breaking out of Japan in Ishikawa Prefecture. Large-scale fire near Asichi Street in Wajima City. This is according to the Social Welfare Council in Wishishima City. Okay? Large-scale fire occurred near the river mouth of the city. This means that a fire is occurring. This picture was taken from a live picture out of Japan. This is a big deal. Okay? We don't have any more information about this as of yet. However, I want to tell you this. Okay? Yesterday, Sunday, December 31st, on the western side of the sun, okay? On the western edge of the sun, what they call the terminator. This was an X 9.5 magnitude solar flare. An X 9.5. This is one of the most dangerous solar flares that we've had from the sun. Now, what has happened here? The CME that was launched from the sun yesterday, I believe the preliminary wave from the sun has already reached the Earth. I also believe that this solar flare may have been the cause of the earthquake today on the western side in the Sea of Japan. Okay? This earthquake actually hit just off the west side of Ishikawa Prefecture. Okay? If it had hit actually on land, it was close to land. If it had hit actually on land, this earthquake may have been more disastrous. Now, this is only preliminary information. I want to emphasize that. This is only preliminary information. Does anybody have any questions? NCWQ Explorer says that X Class 5 is a big deal. It is. Okay? And yes, it can cause more earthquakes. Maria says she got 2 alerts. Was it the same? I believe it was. Okay? Kathy Clark says the source has a lady in the quake that had a telephone call from her friend who was trapped in a train. That does not surprise me. Again, this earthquake hit late mid-afternoon. Late mid-afternoon, just after 4:10 p.m. January 1st today. Okay? It's a big deal. Mary Pedersen says, buckle up, it's going to be a wild ride, and I believe she's right. Okay? This is just the beginning. Okay, does anybody have any questions? I know there are other YouTube people out there reporting on this earthquake. I've been talking about earthquakes and disasters for a very, very long time. Now, I want to show you something else here. This is the National Buoy Center. Okay? Again, this is serious. This is serious. Let me move this up so you can see it. Okay? There are 4 tsunami buoys that are going off. One is just off the coast of Honshu. One tsunami buoy is just off the coast of Honshu. The other 3 are in the Pacific. One off the coast of Honshu in the Pacific, one off the coast of Hokkaido. The next tsunami buoy that's going off is over in the Kuril Islands. Over in the Kuril Islands, just south of Kamchatka Peninsula. 4 tsunami buoys are going. This possibly means that there has been a tsunami buoy as far north as the Kuril Islands. Okay? Now, what has happened today? There's been at least a 7.8 magnitude earthquake. Second, there are other aftershocks that are happening. Many other aftershocks are happening. This is what the USGS would have us believe as aftershocks. Okay? This is what they would have us believe as aftershocks. You see the main quake here? That is not necessarily where this earthquake happened. Okay? The other pictures that we have here, let me come back and show you that. Off the coast of Japan here. It's way off the coast of Japan here. Unless they come back and tell us otherwise, it's off the coast. There have been multiple aftershocks, and I'm going to say there's probably 24 aftershocks so far. At least 24 aftershocks. We expect many more. Usually with an earthquake of this size, we get 300 or 400 aftershocks within 24 hours. After that, I fully expect to have 1,000, 2,000 or 3,000 aftershocks as a result of this earthquake. Okay? There's been 6.2s within just a minute after the initial shock wave. Again this morning, and it was actually afternoon in Japan at 4:10 Japan time on January 1st today, Japan was hit by another major earthquake. A minimum 7.8 was the initial charge of the earthquake. They have downgraded to a 7.5. My initial perceptions, as I showed you a few minutes ago, I believe that this was a major earthquake. Again, a major earthquake. Over here, I'm showing you from Spitsbergen, Norway, the other side of the world. The P waves here, the primary waves, all the way over here, and you see these primary waves hitting one after the other after the other. The ground is still shaking over there. It will be shaking for quite a while. As we get more information, we will update it as the information becomes available. Does anybody have any questions? Mayor Pedersen says public television flashed evacuate in big letters, urging residents to go to higher ground. Absolutely. As I showed you in that tsunami report, they asked everybody that was anywhere near that earthquake to evacuate to higher ground. Do we have any other questions? Also, friends and neighbors that are watching this program, please give us a thumbs up before you leave. Also, if you're not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. 25% of the people that watch this channel are not subscribed. We'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe. We are so close to having 2,000 subscribers right now. We were on the air with another channel just prior to last April. Last April, YouTube said a hacker took our channel down. The last channel we had 25,000 subscribers. 25,000 subscribers. Traveler says, what does it look like for the rest of our planet? Folks, as I said before, the great big huge X 9.5 flare that jumped from the sun yesterday during the morning hours. That was a major flare. There will be, I believe there will be more earthquakes as a result of that CME. It's called a coronal mass ejection. And folks, I'm going to tell you right now, the coronal area of the sun where that flare launched from will be Earth facing probably within the next 24 to 48 hours. It will be Earth facing, and I fully expect to have more solar flares in the form of a coronal mass ejection, a CME, within the next, I'm going to say 24 hours at the very latest. And yes, this is over on the western side of the Pacific Plate. What's going to happen? Usually when we have an earthquake on the western side of the plate, as we have here, we have repercussions over on the eastern Pacific, the North American plate. Okay? This happened over on the western side of the Pacific Plate. We will have repercussions over on the east side as well. It's going to happen. Now, any other questions here? Joanne says, I guess 2024 came in with a bang. Yes, it did. And yes, please hit the thumbs up. We have 42 thumbs up right now. I'd appreciate it if you, before you leave, hit the thumbs up again. I'm sorry for the beginning audio issue. I have no clue what happened. I had perfect audio. Just prior to that, I've had perfect audio for some time, and to have audio problems at the beginning of this program is not good. I'm going to try to keep it diagnosed and keep it fixed. Any other questions? Rebecca says she's waiting for the antipode as well. Now, I want to show you something. Let me get into my device here. I want to show you exactly what she's talking about when it comes to antipode. You need to understand what the antipode is. The antipode is the supposed opposite side of the earth, as if this earthquake would jump to the other side of the earth and have an exact replica of this earthquake on the other side. Okay? Right now, I believe that the other side of the earth where this may happen is in Africa. Okay? I believe the other side of the earth is in Africa. This is usually not what they show us when it comes to antipodes. Now, does anybody have any questions? Kathy Clark is saying, where is the antipode? According to Earthquake Tracker here on my device, the other side of the earth would be Africa from what I'm seeing here, but I don't believe they have all the data for that right now. Carolyn Martin, my friend over in Denver, says, pray for Japan. Reports of casualties has begun, and I completely agree. According to the Japan news agency NHK, there have been casualties. There have been buildings that were flattened, building collapses. Rebecca's talking 30 degrees off of an antipode is where you watch. Kathy Clark says she's too busy looking at helipods. That's what I did. Okay? There have been other people that came on YouTube and other platforms talking about this quake right after it happened. I believe that's irresponsible reporting. Yes, people deserve to know what's happened, but you have to pull out all the information you possibly can get to give accurate information. You cannot just go out and throw up information and pray something else happens. In order to get accurate information as we have, you have to wait and get the information, and that wait we did. I was not notified about this quake until 2 hours after it happened. That was 4 hours ago. The quake happened 4 hours ago. 2 hours ago I was notified, and that's when I first started pulling all this information together. David Rife says, zooming in on the map, it looks like it was pretty hard hit in a rural farming community. That does not surprise me at all. Okay? These people here are very industrious. Japan is a very industrial nation. Agriculture is very important for them. I've seen the farmlands and stuff zooming in on the maps. The Japanese people, from what I can gather from meeting Japanese people, looking at maps, talking with them and everything, Japanese people are a very industrialized nation. They're very good. They're wonderful people. I have friends over there that probably felt this quake because they live in Japan. I believe they live over in Honshu. Okay? Any other questions? Esther saying, Enlighten, why don't you just repeat your question? Let me go back here. Enlighten says, Ron, will this X5 flare cause other earthquakes to occur? Yes, I just a few minutes ago talked about that. I believe that X9.5, it was an X9.5, one of the largest solar flares that we've ever had. Okay? Yes, I believe it's going to cause other earthquakes to occur. How much time do you give for more earthquakes? It could be happening any minute. Literally. The earthquakes that are going to be responsible for that solar flare can happen at any time. Okay? I'm very serious about this. Traveler says, we have USA National Guard was sent from East Africa. Hopefully they will be warned. I hope so. I hope so. U.S. troops over in the Eastern Mediterranean have been attacked by Iran. And U.S. airplanes from the Navy have attacked Yemen. They have also gone over and sunk boats from Yemen that had attacked a tanker ship over in the Mediterranean. These patrol boats from their Navy came and attacked and tried to take command over the maritime vessel over there in the Mediterranean, and United States Navy planes came in and sunk most of the vessels, and one of them escaped. But that whole thing over there in the Eastern Med is a completely different situation. Heather says, watch for the volcanoes as well. I totally agree. Folks, this is serious. When we have earthquakes, when we have solar flares like that, more and more earthquakes happen. And volcanoes erupt. Already over in the United States, in southeastern Alaska, we have two volcanoes there. Sitkin volcano and Wardell volcano over in southeastern Alaska. they've been showing signs of an imminent eruption. Those two volcanoes are not the only ones. We've had multiple volcanoes over in the Aleutian Island area. We also had, and we've reported on it, in Washington State. We've had Mount Rainier. We've had Mount St. Helens, and over in northern Oregon we have Mount Hood. All three of those volcanoes have shown very interesting traits, showing that those volcanoes could erupt at any time. We get more information, we'll be passing it on to you. Carolyn Martin says houses collapsed, buildings fell into the streets, no worries about mudslides so far. We will be back on the air to tell you more information as soon as it becomes available, guys. This is just an initial program talking about what happened in Japan. Again, a 7.5 preliminary earthquake magnitude, 7.5 preliminary earthquake magnitude hit at 4:10 p.m. Japan time, and it was probably in the beginning of the rush hour. Okay. Hazel Vance is asking, how long will the tsunami warning be in effect? Probably for hours. Tsunami warnings just don't disappear in cases like this. Tsunami waves can go on for hours. Literally. That was a good question. Kathy Clark says it's freezing cold in Japan right now. Yes, that's not surprising to me either. Okay guys, we're going to get out of here. Like I said, please hit the thumbs up before you leave today. If you're not subscribed to this program, do so. We will be back on the air later today to give you an update on this earthquake. A 7.5 minimum earthquake hit off the coast of Japan on the western side in the Sea of Japan. People have been injured. Houses, buildings have collapsed. I showed you a fire. Multiple fires have occurred. This is a big deal. I hope you have a better day. I want to wish you all a very happy New Year. We appreciate you. We love you very much. Thank you for being part of the Emergency Management Associates Network. Have a great day, folks. We will see you on the other side.